Welcome back, fellow shop rats. Today we're back on our series about shop organization. Certainly not the sexiest episode subject, but it's got to be done. And as always, this channel is about sharing the day together here in the shop. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to sit there and show you how I put every single wrench away. But as I'm working, I've got some thoughts I want to share with you about some of the things that I've been learning. So this is, I think, the second episode in our series about shop organization. So it could be fascinating, it could be interesting, and if nothing else, some of you will really laugh at me because it's very easy for you. But for most of the rest of us, it's not. So let's get into it. I'm Mike.
This is My Cars Shop.
Don't get me wrong, things aren't that bad around here, but they do tend to get out of control pretty quickly, especially through the holiday season when I'm finding very little time to be out here working. And when I do get out here, it's fast and furious, get it done, get on to the next thing, and things kind of just get left where they are. So I want to try to rein it back a little bit, but I also want to talk to you about more of the things that I've learned. But let's review what we've covered in the past. There was 3 points that we talked about a while ago with shop organization. And the first one was to just deal with the trash. If you just take a few minutes and run around to the various areas in your shop and just throw away the trash that easily gets left, like here's a shop rag, for example, and well, that dust mask isn't dirty trash, but it definitely needs to have some things done with it. And there's some other stuff on the floor from when we were painting the rust conditioner on the roof of the Challenger. Um, so, taking a couple minutes and going around and dealing with that. And then the next step is to deal with the simple stuff, which means the things that you know where they go, just put them there. The tools get put away in the toolbox over there or on the tool board back here. The welder, I need to make a decision about because of what's coming in the future. So that may get put back over there in the welding area. It may not. Things like that. So dealing with the simple stuff. And then the third part, which we're going to get into more in future episodes, is the tougher stuff, the stuff that doesn't have a home, the stuff you don't know exactly what to do with and how to try to create a logical place for things to go. Now, that's not what we're going to be talking about today, but rather we're going to be talking more about just personalities and why we end up in the situations we end up with. First of all, for myself, I'm super busy. I run a sound studio here out of my home. I have clients coming in to do music. I also teach music lessons, so I have students coming to learn to play guitar. I run a computer business, so I have a lot of things going on with that and with my employees and all the customers that I deal with there. I am the forerunner, the driving force behind our band Iron Fist, and we're always cranking out new music, which means I do most of the instruments on that just because of practicality, where I do both guitars and the bass guitar, and I'm the lead singer, so I do most of the vocals. I end up doing a lot of background vocals as well, and it's because our band members are scattered all over the country and very busy themselves. And if we're going to continue to turn out music, I have to continue to do that. I do have this YouTube channel. I turn out 3 episodes a week. I'm starting to do YouTube shorts now. So there's just a lot of stuff going on. Plus, I like to spend time with my wife. She's very, very busy. So we really try to eke that time out. And as a result of all of that stuff, I get time to come out here and work and film an episode for you. And then I have to get in and do editing on that episode. Things kind of just get left saying, hopefully this next week I'll have some time to come out here and spend a day or an hour or a couple of hours and kind of rein it back in. The last time I did that was probably a month ago. Now, some people would say, well, you're just involved in way too many things and you need to prioritize. And I'll tell you this right now, it ain't gonna happen. I know myself. At 57 years old, I'm the kind of person that has to be involved in a lot of stuff. I mean, I didn't even talk about the civic things I'm involved in with our local tech center and nonprofit organizations in the city where my business is. And there's just a lot of stuff that I choose to be involved with. And if I don't stay involved with those kinds of things because of my personality type, you're going to find me climbing the walls or hanging in a closet by my belt or something because I get bored super easy. I like to be involved in a lot of things. And I do also like a lot of downtime to just chill and mentally shut my brain off and process things as well. So I'm not going to change who I am at 57 years of age. I do continue every day to learn how to work with myself and how to be more efficient in my life. I've spent a lot of time in my life hearing from well meaning people, and I'm sure we're going to get some of those in the comments about what I should and shouldn't be doing. Not everybody is the same, and I believe there are more people like me in the world than people who truly are organized and neat and tidy. Nothing wrong with that if that comes natural to you, but for most of the rest of us, that's not where we live. That's not the way the brain functions. So it's nice and good to say that and get out your little ticket books and start writing tickets to people who aren't living the way you think they should. But the reality is, we are wired differently. We function differently. We think differently. We see things differently. And we need to learn how to meet ourselves where we're at, not learn how somebody else sees where we're at. For years with my therapy clients, I have said to them, if we were all the same, then most of us would be unnecessary and the world would be an extremely boring place. But I find that it's fascinating to know how other people function and how they think, and to learn how they think and understand how they think, rather than thinking that they're wrong for how they live or how they think. Again, it's a very narrow worldview that sits up on a mountaintop looking out over everybody, telling them how they should and shouldn't be. We're different. So we need to learn, as I said, to meet ourselves where we're at. So I'm going to go through and deal with the trash, and the simple stuff real quick. And I'll share my thoughts as I go with you as I'm doing that about some of the things I want to talk more about today. For the most part, the trash and the simple stuff has been dealt with here. Now, I could put my welder back over there, but I know I have a whole bunch of floor work coming on stitches soon, so it doesn't make any sense for me to put it way back over there when I know I'm just going to have to bring it over here. So I'm going to take care of these crates and a few things that I had from doing the roof and get that cleaned up and temporarily put the welder here. Now, here's something that I think is important that you can encourage yourself with. It's something, again, that I'm learning, and I know we're all different, but if you deal with your organization like onions and look at it as layers, okay, this area is not perfect. There's junk on the shelf down here, and there's junk in the trunk down there, and the drawer's not organized perfectly. And I've got some camshafts up here that I've been working with on the lathe as I have time off and on. And we can really defeat ourselves if we think we have to get something done to absolute perfection. If we believe that, then we just won't do anything at all. So I like to view it as, okay, I'm taking a layer off the onion. In this case, my onion got dirty and I just needed to clean it up. So I've got my area cleaned up here. I made a couple decisions of where I'm going to put things, interim, because we've got some electrical work to do. I put some of my electrical stuff that I have out temporarily back in there. There's no point in putting it back in the other building where it goes, because I know I'm going to need it here. So I'm thinking through not just what I'm doing right now, but what I have coming as well, and trying not only to make things efficient in the big picture, but also make things efficient in the short term. So I would challenge you to think about that. Now, you don't want things all clutter, obviously, but I spent 10 minutes putting things away, missed a couple things here, um, and that's all it took. I'm a big proponent of hooks and nails and screws to put things on. For one thing, I can glance at my tool board back there and I know exactly where everything is, and I know what's missing, and I know to go looking for it if, you know, I'm going to fill those holes up, which I'm going to do. I know I got some tools out in my 2012 Ram truck because starter went out on that and I started working on it and it started raining. So I just left the tools under the hood and I'll get back to it next time it doesn't rain. But meeting yourself where you're at, knowing what's coming, recognizing that if your life is anything like mine, you've got a lot of things going on, and this is not your top priority. I think that's something that we don't talk about enough here, especially on a automotive YouTube channel, is, you know, top priorities matter. What's your top priority? Is fixing old cars your number one thing in your life? Is keeping your shop clean the number one thing in your life? Or are all of these things here to serve you? Then finding ways to organize things that make them serve you rather than you having to serve it. That's a big one for me, because if I had to serve this shop and keep everything in perfect working order and perfect everything put away and everything, I would spend all my time serving the shop and no time serving the projects. Obviously not perfect, but a whole lot better than it was, a whole lot more manageable. There's still more to do. However, today is the day that my delicious bride and I will be celebrating our own personal Christmas, and we decide not to do it around all the other activities and stuff going on. And today, this evening, is the day that we're going to be spending that time together and sharing the evening and that kind of stuff. So it's as far as I'm going today. But I want to share a story with you, probably one of the most profoundly life changing things that I've learned beyond learning to accept yourself as you are, which is hugely important. And I think something we all struggle with in some ways. But my beautiful bride, I've always been a messy personality. We have gone through so many different kinds of, she tends to be more of a neatnik. We've gone through all kinds of organizational programs and different things that are supposed to help, and on and on and on. One of the most helpful things that I ever heard was learning to meet yourself in your own organizational style. Now, that's a whole lot more complicated than what it boils down to. So I'll just share what she did that has really changed the way I see things and is continuing to change the way I see things. Now, understand, she and I have been together for 41 years. We've been married for 36 years. And we're still figuring some of this stuff out all of these years later. But we have an area in our back room where we keep shoes, and it's under a hutch thing that she has. Very beautiful piece of antique furniture, and we keep our shoes in there. But they were always just to take your shoes off and kick them in there, and she really didn't have a place to put her shoes the way she wanted, because my shoes were just in there. So it's funny because my daughter is very much like me in that organizational style as well. Whenever she's home, wherever she takes her shoes off is where they are. And I chuckle and I just move them out of the way, because I just get it completely. And I find it very adoring, honestly, that my daughter's so much like me. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So Becky's been trying to figure out a better way so that she has a nice organized place for her shoes, but I can still be the chaotic shoe kicker that I am. So she bought a clothes basket that takes about half of that area under that hutch. And she was a little disappointed because it stuck out too far, but we put all my shoes in it and I left kind of an opening on the end. It sticks out beyond the end of the hutch about that far. I cannot help myself. When I come in the house, my habit is always to go around the end of the hutch, kick my shoes off, and would kick them under that desk. If it's full under there, I would just kick them off and put them in front of that hutch. But with that empty spot in that basket there, I involuntarily can't stop myself from just picking my shoe up and dropping it in the basket. That has caused me to view things out here differently. Rather than fighting myself, paying attention to what I naturally tend to want to do with things, and then trying to find a way to organize it where I naturally gravitate to. And that's just what I did with the welder. The welder has a home over there, but I know I'm going to need it here. And I know that if I don't create a little space for it here temporarily, it's just going to sit in the middle of the floor and be in the way. And then I'll be cursing because I keep having to move it. So understanding that this is a basket, so to speak, for the welder, it'll be really easy to shove it back against the wall when I'm done welding on stitches. It's not where it's going to stay permanently because it needs to be next to the TIG welder in my little welding area that I have with the steel top over there. But I'm going to use it here probably more than I'm going to use it over there for the next couple of months. And this just makes sense to me. So if you're a messy like I am, maybe you're not as messy as you've been led to believe by the cleanies around you. but you've just given up because you can't fight the battle and keep things the way you've been told they should be, I would encourage you, look at where you naturally tend to put things and find a way to organize it in that spot. Now, one thing, I haven't done this yet, but one thing I'm thinking is I tend to put tools here, okay? And they end up with this pile of tools. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a Rubbermaid container to put here, since I naturally throw my tools there when I'm working on stuff here. If I throw them in the Rubbermaid container and it's going to be like the clothes basket, I know I'm not going to put them over under the lathe if there's a spot to throw them right here. Or even if I do, it's simple to do this. Then what can I do? Pick that up when I'm done, back on the tool wall, back in the drawers in the box, and it's done, and the empty container can go back here for the next time. You will find something that will be revolutionary for you. Pay attention to what you naturally gravitate to, and then find ways to organize that, even if it's interim or temporary. You can make huge progress on getting a better handle on your workspace if you just look at it differently and stop beating yourself up for being the way that you are. All right, that's going to do it for this one. I know it wasn't a hands-on, but I really wanted to share this with you. I think that sharing my own journey of what I'm learning about shop organization can be really beneficial for you, and you can do it naturally without having to spend, I mean, face it, if I had to come out here and spend 3 days cleaning the shop or spend 3 days working on a car, I'm going to work on the car always. I don't care about the space. But if I'm learning these ways to meet myself, then just one little bite at a time, I'm making a difference in the way my organization is in my shop. That's my opinion. It should be yours too. All right, remember the motto around here for 2024 is make it safe, make it done, and go have fun. And this is all part of that. I really appreciate you being here. I think 24 is going to be an absolutely amazing year for the channel. And always around here, it's important. I don't want you to forget. Oh, yeah, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. But it's the one thing I don't want you to forget. Don't forget. Whoa!